He gives you the latest sports news, interviews, and life-changing commentary with a smile on his face. Because he wears those ticklish underpants.
Let's get back to the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
All right. Horrible idea alert from the Atlantic Coast Conference.
ACC.
Yes, the ACC. Garbage basketball conference. Less garbage football conference. Still garbage. Anyway, yesterday, you may have heard the news that Florida State, Clemson are expected to reach a settlement with the ACC. They will vote today, and I believe that has been Pete tweeted and confirmed. An agreement that would ultimately result in the settlement of 4 ongoing lawsuits between the schools and the ACC and new revenue distribution strategy that would solidify the conference's membership for the near future. Before I don't want to bore you too much. A lot of words. People hear revenue sharing, revenue distribution. They're like, geez, give me a break. But I wanted to point this out because once again, this is a horrible idea. According to the sources from Mr. Pete Tweets, the settlement includes 2 key objectives. 1, establishing a new revenue distribution model based on viewership and a change in the financial penalties for exiting the league's grant of rights before the conclusion of its deal in 2036.
Okay.
Part 2, I don't care about. Doesn't matter to me. Part 1 is a disaster. Josh, where is he? Give me Eric Collins. Where is he?
Oh, no! Disaster!
This new revenue distribution model or brand initiative is based on a 5-year rolling average of TV ratings through some logistics of this formula, can't read. Some logistics of this formula remain tricky, including how to properly average games on the unrated ACC network or other subscription channels.
There's an unrated ACC network?
ACC network, unrated.
Hell yeah.
The brand initiative will be funded through a split in the league's TV revenue, with 40% distributed evenly among the 14 longstanding members and 60% going toward the brand initiative and distributed based on TV ratings.
Sounds terrible.
This, Josh, as I've been describing to people for the last, several years, this is the big red button. You know the big red button?
Oh, it is.
This is the big red button. Please, God, do not tell Ohio State or Alabama or some major power broker in college football. Do not tell them that you can do this. This is horrible. Because what's going to happen? Ohio State looks at this and they say, hold on now.
You're doing what?
You just got done suing the league with the potential, with the idea to leave it. And then the settlement that you agreed upon with the league is that you get unevenly slanted payouts from the league based on TV viewership. This is Ohio State's dream. This is their dream. Don't you think Ohio State is looking at the Big Ten and they're like, okay, our TV revenue is great. We love having all the money. And there's 18 teams in this stupid conference right now. But what's Rutgers doing to help out the TV ratings?
Who's tuning in for Rutgers?
Unless they're playing us, right? Unless they're playing Ohio State, they don't get jack for TV ratings. What's a game between Purdue and Wisconsin getting the conference from a TV rating standpoint? I mean, a little bit, obviously, but nothing compared to every week Gus Johnson saying, I'm Gus Johnson, doing Big Noon Kickoff, because it's Ohio State every single week. If you decided which school is worth the most based on TV ratings, Ohio State and Michigan would be far and away the highest. And then there'd be a gap, and then there'd be, some of the other Penn State's probably, I guess, in that top group as well. Nebraska's probably relatively high up there. USC is pretty high up there, right? There's the brands, there's the blue bloods that people just gravitate toward, and they have larger alumni bases and larger fan bases around the country because of their various runs of success throughout the last 50, 60 years, whatever. It's part of college football. It's ingrained in the DNA of it. Nebraska is one of those schools.
Mm-hmm. I have a couple questions.
And then you look at Rutgers and you're like, what have you done for us?
Mm-hmm.
You know,
nothing.
This is horrendous news. Horrendous news for everyone. I really hope nobody else knows about this.
Is this only ACC versus ACC games that we're taking into account, or
how I read it? So listen to this. Top earners are expected to net an additional $15 million or more than they were previously, than when the money was evenly distributed throughout the conference. While some schools at the bottom of the league will net a reduction in annual payout of up to $7 million annually. An acceptable loss, according to several administrators, at schools likely to be impacted in exchange for some near-term stability. So basically, the schools at the bottom of the conference is like, yeah, we need Florida State and Clemson in our conference. So whatever, let them run amok on this thing. That's fine. We'll take the hit, and you could give them whatever favors you want. And what they did in turn was completely tilt the revenue payout scale from the conference, which sets an absolutely horrendous precedent for the rest of the conferences in the country. Once again, this is the doomsday button. This is when doomsday happens. When Ohio State wakes up and they realize, oh my God, why are we making $60 million and Rutgers is also making $60 million? We should be making 90 and they should be making 30.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you actually did the brand valuation of all those schools and you attached it to TV dollars, that's basically what you would find. And what happens as a result of that is, number one, the power structure begins to be more heavily tilted in the favor of those schools. And it truly then becomes it's already an every conference for itself situation. Then it becomes an interconference every man for itself, every man for themselves.
That's not the way you want to be working.
I don't know what if you're at the bottom. If you're Virginia Tech, great one, thank you. Or Virginia, you're at the bottom of the ACC in terms of what you're valued at.
Wake Forest
from the conference. Wake Forest, great one, thank you. Keep naming bad ACC schools. This is perfect. If you're one of those schools, there's nothing you could do about it. Just like if you are one of the conferences at the negotiating table for the new playoff that's not the Big Ten and the SEC, and the Big Ten and SEC come in here and they walk in here with their hands on their hips and they say, yes, we'd like 4 automatic berths, please.
We were going to have 4 anyway, but we'd like it in writing.
We'd like it to be automatic this time. And the other conferences are just like, all right, whatever. Get these guys what they want. Let's just not press the big red button on the sport automatically. But what you're doing by going along with this is, in essence, pressing the big red button. And it's not good.
So
it's not good, Josh.
A fact, and then some more questions. The highest rated game featuring an ACC team this year, Clemson, Texas, CFP first round. Followed very, 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 I mean very closely behind Georgia Tech, Georgia, went like 100 overtimes, 8.47 million viewers, 25th. That was the 25th highest game rated game of the year.
Give me the first ACC on ACC. Do you have it?
I don't have it in. I mean, I'm still scrolling through the list. Kenneth asked if Notre Dame is included in these ACC payout conversations as it relates to viewership.
Not that I could see.
Okay.
I mean, they're on their own TV deal.
Sure.
So I don't think so.
They wouldn't be part of it.
Yeah.
It's also hard to remember who's in what conference as I look at this list.
Give me an example. SMU's in the ACC. People forget.
I did. ACC championship was the 45th highest rated game of the year at 6 million.
Yeah.
I did.
But like, I would imagine if you go down the ACC versus ACC only, the Clemson and Florida State, maybe not so much Florida State this year, but the Clemson and Florida State games, they are going to populate probably like 10 of the top 15.
I have found it. I believe it to be the 56th highest rated game of the year. 5 million people watched Florida State, Georgia Tech.
There you go.
Was that the Ireland
That
game?
was the Ireland game.
Yeah. When we still thought Florida State was worth a damn.
And it involved Florida State, right? Like they that's one of the brands of the conference. And so they had to keep him in and they had to make him happy. And they said, all right, fine.
You want more money?
Make us really happy. We want to be very happy. And they're like, okay.
RNG Schwartzwielder commenting on YouTube.
Hi.
I can see it being an issue, but if you start cutting too many quote-unquote undesirables, you also start cutting viewer markets. I could be wrong, but I don't see it being a common thing. ACC contract is junk compared to the Big Ten and SEC.
It is true, RNG Schwartzwielder, that they had to – it's a garbage contract, and they have to make do with the bones of what they have. And they have to prevent – Florida State and Clemson from leaving the conference, and this is the way to do so. But once again, so like Omaha writes in, says the Big Ten is stronger together. Ohio State won't do this. Okay, so that has always been Ohio State's line. That has always been it. But once again, when you open up the door to just seeing this, saying, well, if they're getting slanted in their favor, if their conference is slanting things in the favor of the teams who are just trying to sue it to leave it. But the point being, we are taking a conference revenue distribution scale and we are slanting it toward the highest revenue programs, aka the teams that get the most viewership numbers. Like there's nothing stopping Ohio State from going to the Big Ten and being like, hey, look, like we're carrying the torch for you all. We're carrying all the weight on our shoulders. You got to help us out a little bit. We love being here, but please help us out. And that is, in essence, kind of what happened here with this situation. It wasn't so much of we really like being here, but they got their way. And it's obvious. Like, it's obvious to everybody. Yes, Florida State and Clemson are worth more to the ACC than basically any of the other teams combined. That includes like North Carolina basketball, like all that stuff. Like, it doesn't matter. Ohio State and Michigan are worth more to the Big Ten. It's the most viewed game almost in college football every single year. It's worth more to keep them than it is to lose, the Rutgers of the world or whatever it might be. It's just a bad precedent. That's all. That's why I don't know if this will become commonplace, but it's a bad precedent, and it is, oh no, disaster.
Oh no! Disaster!
What a bad idea.
What a bad idea. Should have kept that part in there. Sorry, Eric Collins.
Oh no! Disaster! What a bad idea!
Thank you.
Oh my goodness!
Oh my goodness.
That's exactly right.
Oh my goodness. The brand initiative,
emphasis on brand,
is expected to begin for this upcoming fiscal year.
Meanwhile, SMU's at these meetings going, hey,
you guys are getting
just
paid
happy
for
to be
this?
here. Exactly.
There's a little kid who got his nuts bit by a spider.
You guys are getting paid.
You guys are getting paid for this? Well, yeah, isn't that SMU's deal? They were like, we just like to be here.
We want to be here so bad. We'll be here for free for, I think
it's a long time.
Is it like 3 years, 5 years, something like that? It's yeah.
So we'll see if anything comes as a result of that. I certainly hope that this story just gets covered up, throw a blanket on top of it and move it away.
Nothing to see here.
Nothing to see here. That's for sure. Breaking news from the NFL, Josh.
Breaking news from the NFL?
Yes.
Ian Rappaport and Jordan Schultz have duked it out at Raising Cane's?
No.
Oh.
Devontae Adams has been released.
Release.
Yep. Goodbye. Released.
Now, are he and Brett Favre going to get like a Conestoga wagon together and find a new home?
Brett Favre? You mean Aaron Rodgers?
Oh, did I say Brett Favre?
Did you say Brett? I thought you said Brett Favre.
Well, I mean, they're the same person nowadays.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter. But yes, Aaron Rodgers is what I meant to say.
I would hope that Devontae Adams
has learned his lesson.
Has probably been like, you know what? There's something about this guy that just...
You're a bad friend, Aaron.
Yeah, I probably shouldn't do this anymore.
I love you, guy, but you're a bad friend.
Yeah, you've led me to some horrible, horrible places. We had a great time in Green Bay. After that, it's been horrible.
I got a Taco Bell at my house. Why am I allowing you to make my work decisions for me?
Oh, boy. Text from the 308.
Hi, 308.
Georgia Tech was the highest rated on TV last year, but it's a 5-year rolling average. Right,
Yeah.
which anytime you do the math on the 5-year rolling average, you're going to get... It's going to come up Clemson and Florida State. Assuming Florida State doesn't stay down for as long as... for long.
The second highest rated ACC conference game was Boston College, Florida State.
Florida State.
Mm-hmm.
That was exclusive TV window, right? I believe that was Labor Day or the Sunday before Labor Day. Okay. So, yes. Just make sure nobody else hears about this. That's all I got to say. And probably, I bet you're thinking probably like as a Nebraska fans, like what does this really matter to us? Because
Nebraska's a big brand.
Like we're a part of this, right? And I think so. At the end of the day, like if you are separating the high revenue earners from the low revenue, whatever, the high TV viewership numbers from the low TV viewership numbers, if that's really what the metric is that we're going to use to determine your value going forward, which frankly, it has been and it is. Nebraska's okay there. Even though they've been ass for a decade now, I think, you look at it and you see potential.
I mean, you can still look at an idea and go, yeah, it'll benefit us, but it's bad for the collective as a whole.
Yeah,
right?
but everybody's looking out for themselves, Josh. Everybody's out for number one these days.
Maybe that's the problem, Connor.
I would say so. I think we've gotten to the bottom of this. Yes.
Togetherness. Vote for me.
All right, we're back after this with a little bit of college basketball reaction overreaction.
Oh, yes.
And then we'll talk about our local hoops teams and the plights that they have tonight coming up at after that at about 12:40. So in about 20 minutes. All right, back with college basketball reaction overreaction next on 1620 The Zone. But I do have a reminder for you all that we at 1620 The Zone are teaming up with Site One Brewing for the half-off deal this week. How about that? Site One Brewing, local brewery that creates a unique experience within their tap house where you can explore a variety of ever-changing, locally crafted beers. And you know what? I would even add to that, Josh, they are good. They are not good. They are good. Wow. Good beers. 25th and Farnham is Site One Brewing. And this week's Zone deal, of course, you get $50 in vouchers for just $25. On sale Friday at 9. Also, you could listen to Unsportsmanlike Conduct all week for your chance at $50 in gift vouchers for $0. So,
wow.
Listen to the station or go to 1620thezone.com at Friday at 9 for this week's Zone deal to Site One Brewing.
Free beer.